Boom shakalaka. What is going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Sebastian Gronewold, the managing director, one of the managing directors at Tixl. What's going on, Sebastian?
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me on the interview today. And yeah, let's talk about Tixl.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. So, to begin with, can you just give everybody like a brief overview of Tixl? Like, what's the elevator pitch?
Yeah, Tixl is a new cryptocurrency we are currently developing. And we concentrate on three main features, and that is private transactions, instant transactions, and zero fee transactions. And we are trying to combine that in one cryptocurrency.
That sounds pretty awesome. I mean, private, instant, and zero fees is kind of what everybody wants. So we'll talk more in depth about that stuff coming up. But before we do, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get involved in cryptocurrencies? How'd you get into Tixl? Give us the overview.
Yeah, I've been a software developer actually for about 10 years now. I started with web development, then more complex backend development, app development, like all sorts of software development. And then I got into blockchain, I would say early in 2017. So that was quite some time before the bull run, luckily. And yeah, of course, as a software developer, I like instantly found it very interesting to do something in this space. But then I took a look at ongoing projects, and the situation was kind of like it began that people started to try to bring every possible business model on the blockchain, and that was something where we were like, that does not really seem to make sense. Should we really start something in this space? And we were quite unsure what to do. And yeah, but then we took a deeper look into the existing projects, like for example, Nano, or formerly Ray blocks, or projects like Stellar and so on. And then we had the idea of combining some of these technologies into a new one. And we thought, okay, this is a project where uh, blockchain or like decentralized ledger technology really makes sense. And so we decided, okay, let's start this.
Cool. So privacy is a pretty interesting topic, something that a lot of people like because at first people thought Bitcoin was private and it's not. And but there's a lot of privacy coins out there. So things that people might think of like Monero or Zcash or Dash or Grin. So how does Tixl compare with the existing privacy coins out there?
Yeah. Actually, I think you can look at it from different perspectives. First of all, we've got the data structure, which is different to the other privacy coins. We are using a DAG, or a directed acyclic graph, like it's also used by Nano, for instance, or by IOTA. And we try to combine that with different consensus algorithms. So we are using the Stellar consensus protocol, and parts of our implementation are already open source. And then from the privacy perspective, we are focusing on existing privacy concepts. So we are not reinventing the wheel, or we are also not building our own crypto system or something. We are bringing basically zero knowledge proofs onto the DAG data structure. And that's also what we are currently really focusing on. And we actually had a coding session just a few hours ago on that, because that's a tricky part, actually. And
So
at the moment, our white paper is like, it gives a good overview of what we plan. Um, but we are currently working on a very much more detailed explanation on what we are building, so that we can bring some code open source about the cryptography behind it, and not only about the consensus algorithm. And yeah, that's what we are currently working on.
okay. So you mentioned that bringing the zero knowledge proofs onto a DAG is somewhat tricky. Is it something that's still possible?
It is possible in general, yeah. Of course, it depends on the implementation, because it's not only about the data structure, but also about the performance in the end. I mean, like if you use, for example, ZK snarks or something, or like any different cryptographic method that costs you a lot of computational power, then of course you would lose the benefits of using a DAG, which brings you the instant transactions. And so it's like you have to play around with the different types of cryptography for different types of transactions. So you still can deliver instant transactions, or let's say very fast transactions, but still be private at the end. And that's the tricky part.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you're bringing together a lot of the best things of a lot of different cryptocurrencies, things that we see in like Monero and Stellar and Nano, and you're just kind of trying to bring the best of all of them together.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, it's still it's not as easy as like forking Stellar, forking Nano, and then forking Zcash or whatever, and then just mixing up the code base together. It's still creating a lot of our own code. And actually, we didn't use any code of these projects. But that's also because even these projects are based on existing open source libraries. And so, yeah, at the end, we are trying to give our best to combine them in a suitable feature set.
Gotcha. So the instant transactions and the zero fees that you're getting from from like Nano, from the DAG or the multi-block lattice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, instant is always sort of like, I mean, you have to define instant first. So I think what Nano meant with the instant transactions was that when I have got my own blockchain in the DAG or in the block lattice, as Nano called it, and I want to send you some coins, then only my blockchain is affected and your blockchain is affected. And we don't have to wait for other blocks in the network or whatever to be processed before. But if you trust me, then I can just do the send transaction and you can instantly write the receive transaction to your blockchain. You wouldn't even have to wait for a consensus algorithm in the background, because if you trust me and that I won't do any double spending attacks, that should be fine. Of course, in practice, we don't always have this situation. We have a lot of situations where you don't trust the sender of the transactions initially. And then, of course, you would have to wait on the consensus protocol in the background to really validate the transaction to make sure that there's no double spending or something. And that's where we decided to add the Stellar consensus protocol in the backend of the DAG data structure, which is still a very, very fast consensus protocol. So transactions are like almost instant. And if you really trust somebody, an instant transaction is also possible. And that's what our idea is, yeah.
Cool. So I'm curious about the zero fee transactions. Wouldn't having transactions that don't have a fee encourage spam?
Sure, yeah, that's also something where we thought about, and we have different ideas in solving this issue. Our main idea is to implement micro proof of works for each transaction, so that if I want to submit a transaction to the network, I must provide a small proof of work with the transaction, so that I cannot just run a tool and send 1,000 transactions in 1 second to the network. Of course, this is also something that is going against the instant transactions, because if you want to do a transaction just now, then you would have to calculate the proof of work first, and so that would take some seconds. And so, first of all, our what we are building is that the proof of works can be pre-calculated based on the previous blocks, so that your wallet software can do that asynchronously in the background. And also what we are currently thinking about, that is something that came up to us in the past weeks, is that we are thinking about optional transaction fees in addition. So if somebody does not want to calculate 100 proof of works in a minute or whatever, because that might be a party in the network that's doing a lot of transactions, but might not really care about paying a small fee, then that could be a good reason to implement optional fees. But at the moment, that's quite in the brainstorming phase. And for the prototype development, we will go with the micro proof of works. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So where are you guys right now in terms of development and your roadmap?
Yeah, we are, from the development perspective, we are in the prototype development. The Tixl mainnet launch is planned for Q3 or Q4 in 2020, but we want to deliver a prototype this year in Q4. And yeah, that's what we are working on now every day, in combination with our token sale, which is also not easy and a lot of effort to manage. And yeah, so it's like a mix between these both parts.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of having a prototype, you're talking about something along the lines of a test net where people could try it out?
Yeah, that would be the goal. So it would be bringing parts of our software open source, and then also launching like a web wallet so that then people really can play around with Tixl, see how it feels, and take a look into the ledger, of course, like investigate the data structure. And that we also want to use that for our next major update for the white paper, where everything will be explained much more in detail. And so, yeah, that's the journey.
I like that you guys are interested in updating the white paper, because I can't even tell you how many projects I've seen that have a white paper that's like 5 years old and they've never even done it. Not 5 years, but a couple of years old, and they've never done anything about it.
Yeah, but that's also because our white paper at the moment, we are not 100% satisfied with it, because I mean, we think it's with the feedback we received, it is good, understandable, and it's also plausible from what other people told us. That's of course very good, but we still want to make it more sophisticated. We don't want to leave any questions open, especially about the technological part. And we think that that is also something that is not like to be changed every 2 months or whatever. If we have a data structure, and if we have like a schema how the ledger looks like, and this is something that will probably last for years with some minor adjustments maybe. And so that has to be really solid, and that's something we want to be proud of our white paper. And so that's yeah.
Very cool. So can you tell us a little bit about the team that's working on this?
Yeah, it's well, the project started with Christian, who's also a managing director, and then two friends of us. It's Leon and Christopher from Munich. Christopher is our CMO. He's helping us with the marketing side, which is obviously also very important. And I mean, we might have a good understanding as software developers also, but it's good to have somebody on the team who's not just digging in the techie stuff and has more like another overview about the sector. And then we have a mathematician who's helping us with all of the crypto stuff, because yeah, we are no mathematicians. We can use the cryptographic concepts, and we can also understand them if we look at them for a long time. But as you probably know, some formulas from very complicated papers, it's not like you read them and you will be able to transfer them into code like instantly. And so we have a mathematician on that. Also some advisors from the cryptographic space. And then, yeah, after the first fundraising round, we onboarded our first full-time developer, Bernd. And now, starting with this month, we have 2 more developers who joined the project. And so now we are really making progress, and that feels pretty good.
Cool. Sounds like you've got a well-rounded team there. So you mentioned earlier a token sale. Can you tell us why you're having a token sale, and then also tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. The reason for the token sale is like a mix between marketing and financing the project. The parts that are expensive for the project have been the legal part first, because we are doing the project from Germany. We are doing it in a non-profit limited liability company, which is called GmbH in Germany. And to be sure that we are fine from the regulatory perspective with issuing a cryptocurrency, or especially a privacy coin in Germany, we had to clarify things first. And so that was like 1 year before the token sale, or maybe even longer. And that's where we invested our own money and pre-funded the project and so on. And then we decided to do a token sale, because obviously we have to pay some salaries to developers. We are not paying us any salaries, but for example, as I mentioned, Bernd is the first employee who's working on a regular salary. And then on the other hand, marketing costs for like submitting any press releases or whatever might occur. And so that's a mix where we obviously really need the money to run the project. And then on the other hand, we still think that a token sale is also something where you can actually also evaluate an idea. Because if you run a token sale and nobody would be interested in buying your tokens at all, that might be a clear sign that maybe your idea is not really good. And also it gives a lot of visibility in the public, because still today, it's not like in the end of 2017, but still there are a lot of people that are interested in the crypto space and still interested in also investing in new projects. And these people will see your token and then will get involved. And that's also something where we are very happy about. We've got a very positive community, and also a lot of investors who are advising us and giving us feedback on what we do. And that's very good for the project development, we think, because otherwise it would just be us deciding how we develop the project, but now it's really getting in touch with the community and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw you guys have Ivan on Tech as an angel investor, and he's a very well known and very well respected person in the crypto sphere.
Definitely, he was also one of the first influencers for me when I first saw the first YouTube videos about crypto. Then Ivan on Tech was like one of the first ones which you would have seen in the past.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess one of the questions I had about the token sale is, so you have this privacy-based coin, and a lot of times with privacy, people want anonymity, or to be not known. So having a token sale, wouldn't that make the initial investors or the initial people involved, wouldn't that make them non-anonymous?
You are right. It would make them non-anonymous for us. So of course we know our investors, and that's definitely some information that the people who are purchasing Tixl are sharing with us. And so they are not initially staying anonymous from our point of perspective. But it's not like the general public knows who's invested in Tixl. And so that is also something which will be a problem in the future, because let's assume Tixl would be listed on a centralized exchange, and somebody would want to sell their Tixl tokens or want to buy Tixl tokens, then this person would also have to sign up on the centralized exchange. Maybe, depending on the trading volume, would have to do a KYC check or whatever, and then also would decide to share their personal information with this centralized exchange, but not with the general public. So like if the general public would look on the Tixl ledger, it would still not know what's happening. And so that's like a trade-off where everybody would have to decide if that's from the privacy perspective okay for them to do so.
Mm-hmm. So people who are interested in Tixl, how do they get involved in the token sale?
Basically, just check out the website. It's tixl.me, and we are always available for questions on Telegram or Discord. And yeah, I recommend to check our white paper first, obviously. And you can also go to faq.tixl.me. That's the page where the questions that are most asked in Telegram are also displayed. And then you will have quite a good overview, I would say. And yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to let us know. And then we will try our best to give our answers.
Very cool. So anything else you'd like to talk about? Any other information you think people should know about?
Yeah, maybe one exciting news is that we just got our first exchange deal. So we will be listed on the Binance decentralized exchange at the end of this month. And that is also where our token sale will end. Yeah, we are looking forward to being traded on a public exchange the first time. That's also exciting for us. And yeah, that's it.
That's really, I mean, that's really big news out of all the exchanges to be on Binance, definitely.
Yeah, but it's Binance DAGs, not Binance.com. That's also, I mean, we are still proud of getting listed on Binance DAGs, and we are fans of decentralized exchanges. So this is really for us at the moment. I would say it's the perfect exchange, especially because we are listed on Binance chain. So our token is issued on Binance chain. Sorry, and so that's a perfect match, obviously. And yeah, we are very satisfied with that.
Great. Well, I gotta say, Sebastian, it's been a pleasure having you here. I think you gave us a ton of information. And for anybody who wants to, they can go check out tixl.me. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the interview.
All right, have a good one. Peace.